Well, welcome everyone to Journeys to Becoming a CFP. This is the podcast where we get to explore the real stories, the challenges, and the victories behind becoming a certified financial planner. And my guest today on this episode is Isabel Begg, and Isabel is a financial planning analyst at FI3 Financial
Yep,
Advisors.
FI3.
And and what's unique about Isabel, though, is how she has always in the past been a very high performing student and test taker, and how this exam threw her for a curveball. One not that she was expecting, not once, not twice, but you know, similar to myself, had to go through it twice and fall down and before passing on the third attempt. And so I cannot wait to hear your story and your insights, and you can share with everybody. So I'm excited to dive in. I know you are fresh off the press of passing,
Yeah,
so congratulations.
thank you. Thank you.
So tell me about your journey. Tell me, like, take us, start wherever you want here.
Okay, so I graduated college in 2022 and I got accepted into something called the OR Fellowship. So it's like a
Okay.
cohort of recent graduates who want to be in the entrepreneurial space. And I got matched up with my company I'm currently with called FI3 Financial Advisors. Turns out I really liked the wealth planning, or excuse me, the wealth management space, so I decided to stay. And they had asked me to get my CFP, and I thought, okay, great. This is expected. Took it the first time. I used Dalton, guarantee to pass, because why wouldn't I take the program that says guarantee to pass in it? Came up woefully short. I think I had maybe one out of the seven or eight, you know, topics in the green. And I was shocked. I'd spent all this time studying. I had never failed a test this big before. And I just I couldn't even fathom that I just failed it. All that time and all that effort. And I was like, I need to do something different. So,
When was the first attempt?
March 2025. So I did all three exam cycles in 2025.
Whew, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I was just really determined to get this done. So I did some research. I went on Reddit, I went on the CFP forums, and you look at those and it's like, well, I passed on the first time. I did this, and you kind of feel like you're the only one who failed it. And it was super isolating. But I ended up finding Paul's information in the breakthrough team on the CFP forum. I gave him a call, super inviting. He was like, look, I'm going to do things differently. I'm not like the normal CFP programs. We have our own questions, we have our own everything. And I was like, you know what? Like, that's what I need. And what Paul did and his team, they really took me from the very basics. Like, can you tell me what a zero coupon bond was? And I had only learned how to answer that question one way. And you just don't really understand, you don't know what you don't know until you have somebody with you challenging you. And it's a way of studying that you can't really hide in, which I think is the best. You cannot hide in it. And I found it to be extremely, because it's not just all talking about the CFP. You're building a relationship with this person. They want you to pass. It's not like it's Dalton or Danko where you're just a number in a factory. It's a personal relationship. They want you to pass. And honestly, I found to be like a better analyst at my job because I was learning not only CFP stuff with Paul, but we were applying it to real world scenarios, which is how I think it should always be done that way. I took it in March, excuse me, took it in July again. We were closer. I think I got like four out of this seven, or I can't remember. Whatever. We were really, really close. And I knew
Yep.
it was a gamble to take it. And Paul was like, we're close. This is a really, really good progress. I had gotten green in tax, investments, retirement, estate planning.
So the big guys,
The
the
big
big guys,
ones.
right?
The really hard sections I had done I had, really done a lot of work on. And then I was like, okay, I want to get this done, so we're going to take it in July. Excuse me, November. Okay. This time around, I applied for accommodations with my doctor, which
Me
were
too.
fantastic. I got a separate room and extra 30 minutes. And that really took the pressure off for me. So, and it was also a little bit of a, you know, as a formerly high performing student, I had never thought to ask for accommodations or anything, but this test is so much more than just you know, equations and answering simple questions. It's kind of a mind game. It's a 7 hour test. It's definitely a marathon. And applying for accommodations was also the game changer for me. So Paul really helped me think through, okay, you know, every 15 questions you're going to get up and stand up. And in the private room, you can stretch. So we just really strategized and we took everything we could. And, it was really nice process. the accommodations I think were the accommodations and Paul's and your guys' team is what really made me pass because I had the confidence this time and I just walked in there knowing this is it for me. And then, you're clicking through and you finally get the survey, which the survey I want them to remove from the test
You're
because
like, just give me the
I was
answer.
I was probably answering like all the questions wrong. I probably like had all like the wrong demographic, but you see congratulations on your screen and I literally like fell to the ground because I was so excited. And I couldn't even believe it. I mean, I could believe it because all the work I put in, but it was just so liberating.
Giving me goosebumps. Like I literally have goosebumps because I'm going back to that feeling where it's just
Oh,
you, especially you took it 3 times like
yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
You're like waiting for you see the pass, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking I don't want to close the screen because what if like I need to take a
Right.
picture or something.
Right.
And then I remember going out to my car and looking for the email that's showing like
Right.
how you did in each section and it wasn't there. I'm like, oh my God, I think this is it. My gosh.
It was so, it was exhilarating, which is funny that I'm saying that about a 7 hour, 8 hour test, but it was just so cool to know that I'd put all that work in and I had a full team helping me there. Like I had the breakthrough team, I had my doctor with the accommodations, and it was really awesome to know that they were rooting for me as well. And I feel like I owe it to other people that are going through this process to maybe shine a little light on you just because there's these big study programs like Dalton, Danko, all them, and I'm sure there are some people who it works for, and I think that's great, but
Yeah.
not everyone's the same. I went to a small liberal arts school. I fixed my chair. I went to a small liberal arts school, so I do better like when I'm in these talking sessions with Paul or whoever. So I think that is what I've taken away from this process. And it's not as simple as just going on the lectures and taking notes. It's like you have to connect it to something. And I think it's made me better at my job.
I could not agree with you more.
Mhm.
And, given that you're a recent graduate, you
Yeah.
don't have the years of experience. So
Mm.
really going deep and understanding everything
Yeah.
I mean, is so important. You hit on a few things that I want to follow up on. So I've actually never shared this on here and until right
Mm.
now, but my third attempt, I got accommodations as
Yeah.
well. And I had, doctors writing, I had Paul write. So like it was
Yeah.
one of those, it is a team. It takes a village.
It does.
And I this is kind of funny. So I got the accommodations, they would not give me the separate room, but I could have unlimited breaks.
Yep.
Which just in that allowed me to breathe and know I can get up at any point and there's not the panic of you got to go all the way through.
Yeah, it takes a little pressure out of the tires. It's
However,
nice.
the first time I decided to get up, I didn't realize that you had to, I don't know if I had to stop whatever it was I didn't do.
Oh, okay.
And I came back into the exam and I had 2 minutes left before the whole thing was going to shut down on me
Oh
because
no.
I was idle for too long. So all I am saying is if anybody does get accommodations,
Yeah.
warning, make sure you understand how they
Yep.
actually
I,
work.
I asked I asked a million questions before my test even
Mhm.
started, and they were like, yes, no, yes. So I think
Yep.
also accommodations, like I think especially for anyone who was a really, high achieving student, it's like there's a bit of a stigma around it. You're like, well, I don't want to ask for it, I don't need the help, and yeah, you
No,
do.
it's
Like you don't get
yeah,
a medal for not asking for help. And I
correct.
think that that's also what I've learned is okay, well, I don't learn the traditional way with all these big study programs. But who's to say
Yep.
like I'm not the only one. There's plenty of people out there who don't pass this test on the first or second try. And I think asking for help is like the best thing you could do.
And you can't hide um with the type of studying that you do with
No,
Paul. And I think that is the other thing where, a simple question like describe a zero coupon bond, you just immediately blank and you're like,
right.
I feel like the dumbest person in the world.
Yeah,
But it gets you to build that confidence so that when
right.
it is game time, even if you're 100% wrong on something, you're going to believe 110% that you're right in what you're thinking because
Exactly.
you can't do it any other way. And then that personal relationship, I mean, I've been, talking to people throughout that
Mhm.
are studying, and I had said to Paul a month before I took it for the third attempt, I said, I just want to help people get to the other side because it feels so isolating when you
It
fail
is.
and you're online and you see all the, woohoo, I passed, I used this
Mhm.
program. And I'm like, am I an idiot? I don't think so. I did great in school. Like, what is wrong with me? And so I just want to be there to help people through it because it just anybody can do it if they are surrounded by the right people, and they're going through the process the way it's supposed to work for them. Like I'd love to,
Exactly.
I like Dalton, I like Ding. They're none of them are bad. It's just
No, no.
everybody needs a different way to go about
Mhm.
studying. And so for me, that one-on-one was huge. And I called Paul in this last cycle, and I was so nervous while everybody was taking, because I have no control how anybody does at this
Yeah.
point. Like,
Yeah.
but when you're in it and you're confident, you're in the zone. And I'm like, Paul, do we hear from anybody else? Do we hear from anybody else? Because I just want to help people get through it. It has nothing to do with, I mean, nobody's a number. Everybody, like,
No.
I know about their families. I know about this. And
Mhm.
I'm like cheering for them. I'm sending them pictures of my
Exactly.
kids, and you can do it. So it does take a village. And I think it's something special that Paul has created, um,
Hmm.
to allow that. And
You
I'm
know,
very
I like
excited to get to do this.
absolutely. Oh, sorry, not to cut you off. Sorry.
No,
I like to
I
think
just love
that
this.
failing is one of the best things that's happened to me this year. And if you told me that in March, I would have been like, kick rocks, like,
Hell,
oh,
yeah.
but it's now
You don't
it's
know anything.
exactly now it's, a passion of mine because I want to help others. And I find that,
Mhm.
I don't know anyone super successful who hasn't failed at least once, really big. And I think that's important to remember.
And I said this to somebody else I was talking to recently. I really believe there's a blessing in failing, at least for
Yeah,
me. Which,
I
I
think
mean, if
so.
I had passed maybe that the first time, maybe I wouldn't, but I've learned
Yeah,
so much about myself. It's made me a better advisor. It's made me, just I wouldn't be out here, trying to help other people through if I didn't go through the struggle myself.
exactly. And if I didn't believe in this program, I would not talk about it. I would not, tell
Yeah.
people they should use it. I truly believe in this method. And again, I like just to echo what you said, I want to help others get through that because it is not easy. It is not easy and it's a lot of
No.
hard work. And, I don't have children and I'm not married. So I can't imagine what it's like when you're going through it, when you have kids. And so, there's all different types of people on the breakthrough team that would understand that. And, you can get paired up with someone who would get that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I have nothing but good things to say, and it's frustrating in the moment, but nothing beats that feeling of passing.
What did you change about your study approach? Like I know you used
Mhm.
Dalton the first time and you started working with Paul the second. You rushed, it was a gamble whether or not,
Yeah, it
you're going to
was.
pass second time, but what did you change in that process?
I would say I actually studied less. So I was probably doing with Dalton, I was doing like 4 hours a day. I wasn't really taking a day off. And honestly, it was kind of like going through the motions and
Hmm.
studying like lecture notes because it's guaranteed to pass. You just do it this way, it's gonna go well for you. And then I finally got to, the breakthrough side and Paul's side, and I probably cut it down to 2 hours a day and just
Yeah.
really focused on a certain topic. Like today we are doing, bond duration and um, just types of bonds. We're doing that for two
Yep.
hours, nothing else. In the
Yep.
morning, I stopped studying after work and started everything doing it before work because I just found it was easy. I was
Yes.
way less tired. Switched to the morning routine for sure. And it was way less studying and I had an off day. Sunday was my off day. And Paul was like, do not try to study on that off day. It was less hours, but it was more focused hours.
It's like you recharge, you're not running on half a battery, you're running on a full
Exactly.
tank so you can get
Exactly.
through it. I sucked. I'm sure you heard if you listened to any of the other ones, but I did not listen right away and take my day off.
It's hard. It's
I
hard.
would be tutoring with Paul on a Sunday morning, and he's like, "So what's your day off?" I'm like, "Well, today is my day off." He goes, "But we're tutoring." I'm like, "Oh, well, no, that doesn't count." Like that.
Yeah.
And finally, and my process was longer, it wasn't just 3 months. So
Mhm.
by the time I actually started to take the day off, it was a total game changer.
It's
And the
amazing.
studying in the morning was also a huge thing for me because then you're not thinking about it all day. I think
No,
a lot of times we feel like our life has to be miserable in order to pass, or that's all you can be thinking about.
no,
But that is so exhausting and draining. You can have a life, but when you're studying, you need to study. So, like, if you know it's done before you go to, your job,
for
then
sure.
you're not thinking about it all day and then exhausted by the time you get home.
Well, and Paul would always say to me, we're just answering questions. So having that so I would actually write some little mantras that he would say to me
Yeah.
while while we were studying on my test. So I wrote, we're just answering questions, or, simplify it, or just having a repeatable process for each question, no matter how difficult you think it is, whether it's really easy or really, really hard. Having a repeatable process is what also like, because it's muscle memory
Mhm.
at that point. Your brain's a muscle and you just flex it time and time again and you get really used to it.
Now, when would you say it started to click for you?
I would say, honestly, although I failed it in July, but I did pass the really big ones, it started to click for me about 3 or 4 weeks in. Because don't get me wrong, of studying. And it's hard, don't get me wrong. Like, it's a different way of studying, but I'd say, like, once you surrender and saying, okay, I'm okay with not knowing stuff and having someone correct me, because I can be a little stubborn. I'm sure if you're not as stubborn as me, it would probably take 1 or 2 weeks, but having someone just like rewire your brain in that way, like, I'd say it took me 3 or 4 weeks, and it was like the game changer. I would not have passed without the one-on-one time.
And what did you do different? Like, how did you spend the last 2 days before the
Mm.
exam, first time versus second or third time?
The first time I kind of crammed, to be honest with you. I took it as pretty much any other college test or high school test. You would have cram it, you'll be fine, whatever. So I'd gotten away with that for how many years?
Yep.
And then Paul was like, "Okay, I really don't want you to do much the day or two before the test." So I like went on a run. I got a massage. I spent time with family. I really, really tried to relax and did not look at content
Yep.
because your brain is so overloaded, but you have to give it a break and you have to be well rested for that exam as well. So I mean, it is a marathon. Like, I can't even tell you like how many times I was like, thank God I didn't study before this, 'cause I would have been tired. Because by the end of it, you're really fatigued.
It it's funny. I feel like you're a type A like myself.
Yeah.
And taking the I took the 2 full days off before the exam, and I'm like, what the hell am I gonna do?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I actually scheduled in my relaxation, which sounds kind of
No.
stupid, but I had a new nephew. I was like, I'd like to spend time with him because when you look at a
Ah,
child, if it's not your own and they're not crying, then you at
exactly.
least know, like, if I don't know, that filled my cup. I did a 2 hour, what is it, the salt floats where you lay
Oh
in the
yeah,
things
I've done that
because
for
I was like,
sure.
I literally can't look at anything. Like I
Exactly.
have to, it helped me sleep. It helped. Paul had said, make sure you pick out your outfit the night before. I'm like, why the hell do I need? Yes, how
Exactly.
often do we look at our closet and we're like, I have nothing to wear, even though
All the
you have
time.
plenty.
All the time.
And it was so nice. The outfit was set out that morning. I didn't even work out that morning. I was like, I cannot drain any energy out of my
No,
body
no.
at all.
I
And
would
it
even
was,
recommend have someone driving you to the test. Like my dad drove because I actually ended up taking it in Cleveland because that's where I'm from originally. I live in
okay.
Indianapolis. They ended up having like the accommodations on the because I had it in my mind I wanted to take it on the 10th and I was gonna do it on the 10th no matter what. I don't know why. I guess I like the number 10. And they are the ones that had like the private room in Cleveland. So I was like,
Yep.
this actually works out. It's where I'm from. So I had like my dad drive me. Like I tried to use like minimal brain power. Like not come to like driving, picking out your outfit, like
Yep.
have exactly what you want just all ready to go so you're not flustered. Also on the day of the test, there's going to be a lot of people like that are in the exam center kind of talking, being like, "Oh, what program did you use?" Like put the blinders on because
Blinders.
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 And I get it, like I'm sure they mean well when they're talking to you, but you're there for
The
you.
first time I did, I was talking to people, and there literally can be for my lunch, I took my
Exactly.
lunch, I went out in my car, I shut the door, I did
Yep.
not look out a window, I went back in, like, I had a soundtrack,
Oh, for
music, like,
sure.
it was a game time before
Hmm.
championship game in the tunnel running out. Like, you don't talk to a soul.
And I'm a
And it,
people person, so that's hard for me.
uh-huh.
But I was like, it's actually not in your best interest to, go along with like the chatter. Because when people are nervous, they talk a lot, and I get that, but like you need to focus on you.
I don't know about you. I stopped the first time, I think of the second I was looking on, the chats, the CFP.
Hmm.
I literally looked at nothing. Like I
No.
had my crew of I had the woman I work with who is a mentor. I had another
Mhm.
woman who is a mentor. I had Paul. I had like there was nobody else to talk about or to talk to about it. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't care how anybody else was doing because I knew if I asked, I would actually care. And
Yeah.
I
Oh,
didn't
for
have
sure.
people ask
Absolutely.
me.
Absolutely. I think just keeping to yourself and having that sort of like because no one's in that test with you besides you. So
Right.
and I think it's important to practice that like the day before or
Yeah.
during the exam when you're waiting because it is a very pressurized situation and it is I think my first time I didn't necessarily understand that. But going in prepared and going in calm I think makes all the difference.
And looking back, is there anything that you would have changed or done differently?
I probably would have started with Paul and his team. Hindsight's 2020,
Yeah.
of course, but I think for me, I think studying, I would have liked to be a little bit more okay with being wrong a little faster. So whether
Mhm.
whether it took me 3 or 4 weeks, I wish I could have maybe opened up a little bit more and said, okay, like hands are up. But it's hard when you spend all that time studying. You want to prove to yourself that, you do know things. But I think
Like, what the heck was I doing for the last,
right,
6 months?
right.
How do I not know how to answer
Right.
this
But I think it's
question?
important though to sort of surrender that part of yourself because everyone has an ego, right? Like the ego part. And I think
Yep.
that's the most important because that's what was stopping me from passing that exam.
Mhm.
Not that I couldn't learn, it was just that,
Just in here.
yeah, I was just convincing myself that I already knew the stuff when I think I knew deep, deep down that I didn't have a full holistic understanding.
It was like the surface level, but
Yeah.
as they say,
Yeah.
it's a mile wide and very shallow. What is that? And an inch deep
I
or
know what you're
whatever.
trying to say. It's like as wide as the ocean, but as deep as
Yes.
a puddle or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not, yeah. And then I guess my last thing is, how would you say your career has changed after this?
You know, I would say that I'm currently still in the same position, but I would
Hmm.
say that for me, I feel a lot more confident on a day-to-day basis. Like I know now that since I've done this test, that I'm competent in a lot of different areas. And I think for me, especially as a woman in the space, you have a lot of doubts. Well, am I supposed to be here? There's a lot of men in this room. Is that okay that I'm here? But I think for me, it's kind of giving myself permission to say, no, speak up more. Give your ideas. Like you pass this test, you can do hard things and you can contribute. And I think for me, it's just been a real game changer.
And if you could leave people with a few, like one or two nuggets,
Mm,
what would they, if you wrapped it up pretty with a bow?
sure. I would say find someone, a mentor, a tutor that you can talk to about this exam because it's extremely only a couple know. Like for example, I couldn't really talk about it with my boyfriend or my friends because they're not financial advisors. They don't understand. So I think having someone, a mentor, like I said, a tutor to talk about it with, talk shop, I'd say like you're talking about sports is the best thing you could do.
I could not agree with you more
Yeah.
on that. It
Yeah.
is, you can't complain to the husband, you can't complain to a
No,
boyfriend because they just want to make you feel better, but they don't
exactly.
understand. Like they see you in pain, they see you upset. Well, just take some time. And you're like, that is not what I need.
No, it's like I compare it to, my boyfriend Nick talking to me about fantasy football. I don't know anything about fantasy football, so I'm the wrong person to ask. And if I talk to someone about the CFP test, like he's a supportive partner, and because he wants to make me feel better, but
Right.
you want someone who understands the pain that you're going through, I guess is the
That
yeah,
can pull you through to the light. Like they know you're in the
exactly.
trenches. Okay, keep coming. You're almost there. You're almost there.
Exactly. Exactly. For sure.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for, sharing your perspective
Of
on
course.
this. I think, everybody's path is a little bit different.
Mhm.
But it's very lonely if you don't have a place to go while studying if it's more than your first attempt.
It can
And
be
I
a
think
lonely road. It can be a lonely road for
exactly.
sure.
And so I'm excited to have the opportunity to talk with you today and, working with you to try to help other people get through this. So thank you for
Of
sharing your
course.
words of wisdom and your experience. And anyone that is watching this, you can do this. We have been there. We get it.
We got
There's
it.
moments of joy and there's tears along the way,
For sure.
but we will pull you through. Connect with us. We are more than happy to help you. Have a great day,
Absolutely.
everybody.
Thanks, Jessica.